Update. Fiancé cheated with wedding planner. Wedding cancelled and she was kicked out. Original story. Today was supposed to be my wedding day, the happiest day of my life, marrying the love of my life. But instead, I find myself here, recounting the events of what should have been a joyous occasion. I'm a 37-year-old man. I was set to marry Brianna, a 29-year-old woman, today. I proposed to her a month ago and she was overjoyed. We had been together for nearly 2 years and I felt it was the right time to get married. I'm more of an introverted, somewhat boring nerd. If asked to plan an event, I'd probably come up with something very basic. So when Brianna offered to take charge of the wedding planning, I was more than happy to let her. I handed over my credit card and let her take the reins. Brianna wanted a wedding planner for the big day, and she took on every detail of the planning. Although I had hoped for a wedding in a month, she insisted that it would take at least 3 months to pull off the kind of wedding she wanted. I agreed to her timeline. I met the planner once to finalize things, and then I got busy with work, preparing for our planned honeymoon to Paris. Brianna kept me updated on the progress of the wedding plans, and everything seemed to be going smoothly. Then, one day, Brianna told me that Mira, our wedding planner, had been in an accident and had fractured her knees. She was going to be in a cast for the next 6 weeks. During her absence, Mira's stepbrother would handle the wedding arrangements. A few days later, I asked Brianna if everything was still on track, and she assured me that Mira's brother was managing things well. However, 2 weeks before the wedding, we had to cancel our chosen venue due to forecasted rain. It was an outdoor location, so we needed to switch to an indoor venue. Brianna suggested a banquet hall at a 5-star hotel. She asked me to take some time off work to visit the new venue and write a check for the booking. I took 2 hours off, picked up Brianna and drove to the location. Mira was there with her brother. Although Mira had recovered from her injuries, her brother was still handling the arrangements. We were waiting for the banquet hall manager to arrive. A few minutes later, a middle-aged woman arrived. She introduced herself as the banquet hall manager and immediately went to greet Brianna, saying, "You must be the bride. Your glow is unmistakable." Our friends had also remarked on Brianna's glow since I proposed. While the wedding could be a reason, there were other factors. Brianna turned pale upon seeing this woman and tried to cut her off. After hugging Brianna, the manager greeted Mira's brother and said, "You're a lucky man to have such a beautiful fiancé. No wonder you can't keep your hands off her." Brianna, clearly uncomfortable, interjected, "There seems to be a misunderstanding." The manager, trying to reassure Brianna, said, "Oh, don't be embarrassed. You're so much in love and you're getting married soon. I see couples making out in the elevator all the time, so it's no big deal for me." Mira tried to defuse the situation, but it was too late. I stood up and left without a word. I couldn't stay there pretending nothing had happened. I understood exactly what was going on. Brianna chased after me, but I drove off, my phone buzzing constantly with her calls and voicemails. That 15-minute drive to work was the hardest I've ever had. When I reached the office, I was in no condition to work. I asked the reception to not forward any calls or meetings and cancelled everything for the day. After receiving hundreds of missed calls from Brianna, I finally responded. She insisted that there had been a misunderstanding and that the manager wanted to apologize. I didn't believe her. Brianna urged me to meet the manager again to clear things up. I hung up without saying much and decided not to respond further. Later that evening, Mira called me, apologizing for interfering and requesting that I meet the manager to hear her side of the story. I was unsure, but after some thought, I decided to meet the manager. I didn't tell Brianna or Mira about this. The next day, I went back to the hotel and met the manager. She apologized, saying she might have mistaken Brianna for someone else. I was somewhat convinced by her explanation. She mentioned, "Maybe I saw Brianna and that young man together during the site visit, and then saw another couple making out, which led to my confusion." I asked her to show me the elevator camera footage from the day Brianna visited. She turned pale and stammered, saying it was against company policy to show footage to outsiders. While I understood the security policy, her behavior seemed suspicious. She explained that she feared losing her job if Mira complained about her behavior. She said the hotel lost bookings due to her nosy behavior. I told her that her job would be safe and called Mira in front of the manager to cancel the booking. I assured her that I would not let the manager's job be jeopardized. Mira asked if I had met the manager and I confirmed. I told her I still wanted to call off the wedding, unrelated to the hotel manager. Mira agreed and hung up. The manager thanked me and, as I was leaving, she asked for my contact information. I gave it to her. Later that evening, she called me and confessed that she had actually seen Brianna with Mira's brother and had lied to protect her job. Brianna had threatened her and asked her to lie. The manager revealed that she had a broken home due to a cheating husband and understood the pain of betrayal. I decided not to tell anyone about this, not even my family. Brianna continued sending me affectionate texts and selfies. I hadn't yet blocked her or confronted her about the truth. Though I realized the truth during our first meeting, seeing the manager for the second time made me reflect on Brianna's cruelty. How could she threaten someone to lie and protect herself? I didn't go home on the wedding day. I spent the night at my office. The next day, I met the manager at the hotel and everything became clear. That evening, I called Mira and told her I wanted to terminate the contract. I was prepared to pay the contractual amount and offer extra compensation for her loss, but she refused. She charged only what was within the contract and even gave an extra refund out of empathy, likely due to guilt from her brother's behavior. She initiated the exit formalities and sent me the paperwork. It was settled. Brianna kept texting me, asking when I would come home. Her attitude changed when she received Mira's contract termination email. Brianna panicked and called me, asking to talk things out like adults. I responded that she needed to vacate my house and there was nothing left to discuss. She came to my office, but I asked the reception to keep her out and told her I was in a meeting. I used the back door to leave and went home. Edit 2. On my wedding day, my brother and his family came to my house with a gift. They wanted to know why the wedding was called off. Brianna was crying and begging for him to tell her where I was. I calmly asked her to leave. She refused, but my brother understood the situation and made her leave. His wife even warned Brianna to stop stalking me or face police involvement. Brianna left reluctantly, but continued to text me. She sent flowers to my office, which I handed to the front desk. I received an email from Mira about the final exit formalities and venue cancellation. It hit me that I had a lucky escape. My reaction for OP. Whoa, that must have been quite a shock. It sounds like you've got a bead on this dude. In situations like this, it's always good to look for the positives for your own mental well-being. At least you found out now what sort of person she really is, rather than 5 years later when you're married and have kids. Now for the updates. Update 1. I spent the next week living in a cocoon, limiting my conversation only with my senior staff for work-related stuff. I asked my wedding planner to do me a favor and send the cancellation email to all the guests who were invited. That led to a flood of calls and texts from pretty much everyone. My side of people were worried about me, while her family and friends were behind me for reconciliation. Brianna was still telling everyone that I had called off the wedding over some stupid misunderstanding. I let it all be. After a week of sulking and brooding over my sorrows, I had to move my butt to work. I don't have the luxury of just moving out of the city and disappearing like others I read about on this subreddit. I wish I had that luxury. Now I'm cursing myself for even trying to get into this love crap. Gladly, I've been away from all these for so long. I should have been that way. My friends were right in saying I'm late for the wedding bills. It has to do with my family setup. My dad passed away when I was in my final year of college, leaving his manufacturing business to me. I have a sister and a younger brother. My sister was in her freshman year when dad passed away, and my brother was still in high school, so everything fell on me. Our business was not in a multinational level that could operate with a board and trustees without the owner's presence. It's a mid-sized manufacturing business where someone needs to actually run the show to survive. I was quick to jump into the boat and take it over. We had no other option. We had a house mortgage and a college education to fund my siblings and support my mom. she is not a working woman. I worked hard to learn the business and try to scale it up. I was so worked up for all these years that my love life had been a toss. I had a few flings here and there, but nothing got serious, not even casual relationships. Most of it was one-night stands and casual sex. I met Brianna 2 years back at a common friend's party. She was so bubbly and cheerful that I couldn't take my eyes off her. We started off as a casual fling and didn't realize when I fell for her. She should get a lot of credit for putting up with my busy schedule. She had been patient and accommodating in my work commitments. When she said she wanted a wedding of her choice, I readily agreed. She deserved to have a dream wedding, or so I thought. I haven't told a lot of people the reason for our wedding fallout. Mom and siblings knew, and for the rest, they don't need to know. Brianna showed up at my mum's thinking she didn't know the truth. She requested Mum to help us reconcile. Out of respect, Mum didn't spill the truth and said she would ask me to call her. I didn't want to, but Mum convinced me to have closure. It's necessary to even move on. All the hows, whys and whens need to be answered. I'm not sure if I really need closure or if I have moved on without that. I'll do it if I feel the need to have the answers. Edit 1. I have cancelled the honeymoon bookings we had for Paris. It was insurance covered, so I got the refund pretty much, except for the flight booking. I cancelled it at the last moment. Edit 2. People calling her a gold digger, please don't use that word. I don't want to put all sorts of labels on her because she cheated. She cheated and I called off the wedding. That's it. I don't want to be disrespectful towards her unnecessarily. Update 2. Brianna showed up at my door yesterday. I knew she eventually would. If this was earlier, I might have gotten a restraining order against her. But now I think my anger has subsided. The pain is still there, but I think now I am ready to at least listen to her. I let her in. She wanted to hug me, but I blocked her. Before she started speaking, I said, I know the truth, so better not to manipulate it. She went numb for some time and said, I'm here to confess, and went on to say the cheating was never intended, but it just happened. One thing led to another when her brother Aaron and her affair partner took over her work. I kind of got more involved to make everything seamless. For the first 2 or 3 times, I didn't even notice him that closely. Our conversation was very transactional. Only when we went for the wedding dress trial and the way he meticulously selected everything for me to match my taste and elegance did I notice him. He was just being extra nice and sweet to me. I'm sorry, I know I screwed up. I kind of fell for his flirtatious comments about my beauty and features. Unknowingly, I was seeking validation from him. It was so flattering, I couldn't resist myself. She broke down, bawling out her lungs. I asked her when they crossed the limits. She asked if I really wanted to know all the details. I said yes. She said when we went to visit the hotel venue, Aaron picked me up. I was floored by his chivalry. In the car he was trying to touch me, but I didn't reciprocate. But we eventually made out in the elevator. That's when the man saw us. Coincidentally, she saw us again. When we were leaving the hotel, we were making out again. I asked her if it was just that. She stammered no. Then we booked a room in the same hotel and had sex 2 or 3 times. It suffocated me so badly that I had to get up and take a tour of the front porch to gasp some air. Was that all? She said yes. And then, on the next day, that lady at the hotel spilled the truth. Brianna was also choking because of heavy breathing. I realized her guilt was giving her tough times. She looked pathetic. She kept crying and apologizing. I couldn't hold back my tears. She held my arms and asked if there was the slightest chance of getting back together. I said no. She let her affair partner sleep with her because he complimented her generously. It was such a cheap deal for her. I cannot trust someone so shallow. I mean, if her reason is that his flattering compliments lured her into his pants, then there could be so many areas where I faltered and others are good at that. I'm busy at work. I'm not that romantic kind of person. I'm introverted and not very good at giving compliments. This means every time she meets a guy who has these qualities which I don't, she would cheat. She said I was indirectly calling her a slut. I said I'm not putting any label on her, but speaking the facts. She has never cheated on me for all these years, and she had never found me incompetent. I said my love was just enough for her. I wish it was, but it's not. I don't want to live in a constant feeling of insecurity and incompetence, that she might meet someone better and F everything again. There were several rounds of breakdowns, crying and apologizing for hours. I realized it was not working. It was getting worse for both of us, especially me. I was getting weak and falling for her tears. So I showed my backbone and stood up to leave and told her I had packed and kept her remaining stuff in the garage. She didn't say anything and kept sobbing. I came back after an hour and she was gone. I checked the garage. She had taken her stuff. I feel lighter now. Indeed, closure helped in my case. Update 3. This is mostly going to be my last update. I might delete the account later. Updating here has helped me clear my head and move on. Thanks to everyone who made me feel I'm not alone in this. I've unblocked Brianna, but also made it clear that we are not going to be together. She understands that now and doesn't bother me. She also confessed the truth to her parents, who then called me to apologize. After I cancelled the wedding, they were literally threatening to hunt me down. After knowing the truth, they were sorry about that. I said it was fine and understandable. I have no harsh feelings for them. Now that my anger has subsided, I feel maybe I too have a role to play in this cheating. I need to work on expressing my feelings and letting my loved ones know how much I love them. Communication has been my problem. I love my family and would give my legs and arms for them, but rarely have I told them that I love them. Same for Brianna. I loved her more than anything else, but was not generous in expressing that feeling. She's the prettiest woman I have seen, yet I didn't tell her this enough. I'm not justifying her cheating at all. Neither am I planning any reconciliation, but I feel this to be my incompetence. I've scheduled an appointment with a therapist and looking forward to working on this aspect of my personality. I don't wish for any serious relationship now, at least not in the near future. Heartbreak is hard. It's dang hard. Thanks for reading this and engaging with my post. I appreciate all the comments, good and bad. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Thank you.